Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Footballguys Best Ball Show. As always, Dave Kluge joined with James Brimacombe. James, we did 5 Battle Royale entries last week, total of $25 in entries. We walked away with $27, so living big over here this week. How about it? But really, what we talked about was, really trying to build around that Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews stack. And that worked out pretty well for us. And that just happened to be what the winning ticket had as well. We missed a few pieces here with Waddle and Chubb and some others, but overall we did pretty well on those entries. So we're going to do that again today. What are some games that are kind of piquing your interest on this slate?
I made some notes. Like Detroit, Minnesota looks pretty good. Obviously, Buffalo, Miami, everyone's going to be chasing that. The Rams, Cardinals, those are the three that stood out. But there's still some other good games out there as well. So, like the Philly Washington game looks pretty decent too. So yeah, there's like 4 or 5 games that I think you could almost just only pick from those games and be okay in these battle royales. So
Yeah, and you got to feeling pretty good. Nick Chubb was a guy that a lot of analysts were fading pretty hard this offseason. He's having a pretty good start to the season, especially with a huge spike week last week. So I just want you to know that Sunday, every single time I watch Nick Chubb run another touchdown, and I was thinking of you, James.
yeah, apparently yeah, I guess I'm staple to him all season. So hopefully
Hey,
he keeps up. But
there
yeah,
are
I just
worse players to be stapled to. Better Nick Chubb than Cole Kmet, right?
yeah, well, I just didn't realize like Chubb, like why people aren't on him in the underdog format. Like I get like he doesn't get all the targets and all that target share in the receiving work, but man, we just want yards and we want touchdowns. So I keep him coming. I don't care if he gets 1 or 2 catches every week. Doesn't matter to me.
And a big thing we talked about was, not overreacting. I feel like that was the theme of last week. Every show you watch, every article you read, it's hey, don't overreact to one game of football. And, a lot of people did. And, I heard some crazy arguments that Kareem Hunt was taking over and that he was going to be the preferred back in Cleveland. And we all saw how that lasted. Nick Chubb came back as the king last week. So here we are still waiting for this one to fill up. We're doing the same as last time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it 50,000 to first place last week? I know week 1 was 40,000. I noticed this week it's 50,000. Have they upped that or did they up that going into last week?
Last week was 50,000. So
All right.
yeah, 50,000 lineup last week. I just jotted that down too. Lamar with the Andrews stack. Yeah, Nick Chubb, Cooper Cup, Waddle, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that
So I
was
think
a pretty chalky lineup, to be honest. Like it's
so
nothing.
well, I think one of the guys I want to talk about is Amon-Ra St. Brown because he was a guy that I
Mhm.
faded pretty hard this offseason. And looking right now in this slate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th overall. And that's exactly where he lands in my weekly rankings is 7th overall. We don't want to overreact, but we're coming off an 8-game sample size now where this guy's had at least 8 catches and a touchdown. I mean, we got to be looking at him as a top half of the wide receiver 1 group at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, Cup, Jefferson, Diggs, Chase. Like I don't know. You might even put him up there with Adams. Like I don't know. So
That's
yeah,
kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, I thought it was a little bit fluky last year with the injuries to his teammates, but now that he's done it heading into this season with DeAndre Swift healthy and TJ Hawkinson healthy and, DJ Chark there and he's still feasting. It's time that we adjust a little bit and start looking at this guy as a, possible top 5, top 7 wide receiver for the rest of the season. But here we are at pick number 4, Cooper Cup, first one off the board. No surprise there. Maybe we can get lucky and get a Justin Jefferson at 4th overall if somebody overreacted to his poor performance last night. Would also be happy with Stephon Diggs or Jamar Chase there. Is that pretty much what you're doing if you got one of these first 4 picks is taking one of those 4 receivers? I mean, we got all of the big names loaded into this afternoon slate.
yeah. I think I've only done a couple of these ones, and just from experience, the last couple of weeks, that it's basically you want your receivers like first round or 2. You want to kind of have like break that out, and that helps you too with like stacking, game stacking, kind of see what way you're going to go as well. So yeah, there you go. You get Jefferson after like an off game. But
And I mean, I gotta say, Darius Slay shut him down. There's no concerns that that's going to happen again going forward. I mean, that was just an incredible performance by Darius Slay, but I don't think that we're going to be seeing Justin Jefferson get shut down by Akuda this week.
yeah, well, I like the Jefferson there too because now we can go back to the Detroit side, and we're just talking about Brown, and we're just talking I mean, Swift too. So you can put Swift in there as your running back, as the run back too. So you're kind of setting yourself up nice here just right from the start. So you just always want to just have those thoughts right from the start. But drafts,
We don't want to reach too far, but do we want to wait on DeAndre Swift, hopeful to get him in the next round? And
yeah,
then
yeah.
also,
No, I wasn't saying here. And
yeah,
like, I'd probably still take even Adams or Hill or one of these receivers here. That's how I'd play it. But
and that was going to be my next question. I mean, I know we talked about Amon-Ra being in that tier already. Are we taking him confidently ahead of Adams or Buffalo? I mean, Tyreek's got a pretty tough matchup going up against those Buffalo cornerbacks. Devontae Adams coming off a down week. 10
I
seconds. Who are you taking here, James? This one's
probably,
on you.
I'd probably take Adams and then hope Brown falls. If Brown doesn't fall, then we still have Swift option. So I always want to try to I always want to try on these ones to like not force them as much and try to play the risk game. Like, maybe these guys will fall to me, because I think that's how you're going to be able to win money on these, more so than, just taking the safe play every year, taking the stacks right when you should. So I like to be a little bit more of risk tolerance in these.
Yeah, and like we talked about, the winner last week, had the Lamar Andrews stack, but didn't really attack any game theory too much. Just kind of took the best player available, didn't have any run backs or anything, and was still or no, did have the run back with Waddle, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't want to reach for it, but it certainly does help. So here we are, 3 picks away. DeAndre Swift is still on the board. No guarantees that he makes it back to us, but we also have what are some pivots we can do here? Derrick Henry also off the board. So
I
if
like
you go,
J. I
oh,
like.
we still
I think you go QB as well too. So I think don't need a stack too. Like, if you wanted Hurts or Mahomes, I think you're fine going that way too without a stack. But
I think
um,
had DeAndre Swift not slid to us here, I would have done that. But I think this is a pretty good value to take Swift at, right? With the
yep,
third pick. Cool.
yeah, and
And
we were talking off air too. Just like, QB is pretty deep. This, like, even if you don't get any of these guys, like, there's possibility you can still get like Kyler as your QB in like round 5 or 6. So
let's look at it. So far, we have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts off the board. There's only going to be 3 QBs left to be drafted in Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Joe
mhm.
Burrow. I mean, you got 7 rock solid elite
Yep.
quarterbacks in this slate. So I think that you're right. I don't think there's any reason to pay up. And then even if you want to go further down the board, Tua Tagovailoa coming off a 50-point week last week, so can't go wrong there either.
I mean, we got Jefferson, and Cousins just had like an awful performance prime time. You go back on Cousins, he's going to be like 5% owned.
Yep.
Like, and 2 or 3 touchdowns to Jefferson, and maybe 1 or 2 more. Like, he could do a 4 or 5 touchdown game. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think you just wait it out.
I am totally okay waiting there. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to get anything correlated here without really, really reaching down the well. So let's look at wide receiver. We're on the clock right now, 14 seconds left, and we've been yabbing a little bit. I don't think
I
we've
think he,
reached for any of these guys yet. Who are you looking at?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Waller might be the play, I guess. I don't know
Yeah,
where we go here.
we've already got Adams.
I
We
mean,
got
you could go
auto
Henry.
Derrick Henry. We got auto Derrick Henry. So we got that now. We got the run back Justin Jefferson with Swift. We've also got the Adams run back with Derrick Henry. So
Mhm.
not our typical lineup, getting a little bit out of the box here, but it kind of worked out. We had Henry. I kind of had him as a contingency plan in case DeAndre Swift went off the board. So 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, not typically the way I like to go, but here we are now with the last 2 picks, and we need a quarterback and a tight end. Um, Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, would be pretty happy with either of them. We've still got the guys that are considered elite with Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, but like I said, we could also go down and get Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins to get that stack. So there's a lot of routes that we can go here, but I think the most important, I think you got to go Kyle Pitts here. If this feels like a squeaky wheel game, where even though he's had a couple bad weeks, now all of a sudden we could possibly get him as the 5th tight end off the board. Could be a huge smash there. But this is another one where it's pretty deep with tight ends in this slate, where you can, wait until the 5th round and still get Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, and then even more so down there. Like, I haven't been on Zach Ertz this year, but he's looking decent. Like, maybe a top 5 tight end, just based on, because tight ends are not very good this year.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got the Kyler Ertz combo you could go as well, but like, I like Pitts more for the upside. Yeah, and I kind of like the Derrick Henry, the Justin Jefferson coming off bad games, and like Pitts. Like everybody's out on these guys, and it's kind of makes it for fun $5 here.
Now, guess what? We're still going to get Kyler here. All these people have quarterbacks already, so
Yeah,
it'll be a naked Kyler and a naked Pitts. Not ideal, but again, just kind of going BPA here. All of a sudden, we're going to leave a team or walk out with this team: Kyler Murray, DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, and Kyle Pitts. A little chalky. We just kind of went with value here. We got some run backs with the running backs and the wide receivers. But just kind of swinging for pure upside here without really worrying too much about stacking and correlating.
yeah. You definitely just don't want. You never want to play these safe. Don't ever play them safe. Just you just want to go for the upside. And yeah, I like this build fine. Two running backs is not usually the way I go, but it really hasn't been the year of the running back so far. It's kind of been the year of the receiver. So it could shift. We could see running backs break out one of these next couple weeks. So maybe we're going to be ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry coming off 2 terrible weeks. I mean, it's kind of crazy, excuse me, that we got him as the 4th pick. I mean, this is a guy who was consistently one of the first picks going off the board all offseason, and then, it just takes 2 not so great performances for him to get faded down. And I get there's the age, the concerns. I've been pretty off Derrick Henry, but at a certain point, you just got to play the value, and I think he's a pretty good value there. So overall, I like the way this one turned out. And then we've also, like I said, Kyler, pure, you're hoping for the best possible scenario with him, but being completely naked with no correlation or no stacks, it's a little bit concerning, but I don't hate that one too much. Let's try to
So,
do what we
so
did last week and see if we can crank out 5 of these at once. But what's up?
would you rather go Kyler over Cousins there? Or would you rather get the stack? Like that's I think that those are a lot of questions people are going to ask this week, right? Like, so you're just going to take that best player with a bigger, maybe a higher ceiling, or are you going to take the stacks? And I kind of like what we did. I like taking the bigger outcome there. So
And
even like
having Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams, we could have gone the stack either way. We could have gone with Cousins or we could have
Mhm.
gone with Carr. But I feel like, that's just the definition of chasing stacks. That's a
Yeah.
huge tier break between where Kyler Murray is and where Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins are. So even though that might fit a little bit with, the build, you don't want to bleed too much value to stack those players up. Kyler is just, in that elite tier, and I feel like he needs to be drafted there ahead of the other QBs.
Yeah, and the more I'm doing these now, maybe I'm only taking QB in round 6. Like if I'm being honest, like because I don't like those top QBs. Yeah, they could have like this crazy spike week, and you need them for your winning lineup, but also like maybe it all levels out of the QB. Like all these guys 25, 30 points, and you just mix and match them.
Yeah. So here we are again with the 4th pick. Last week we had a lot of picks or a lot of builds that looked pretty similar. There goes Justin Jefferson. So at least we aren't going to be getting back-to-back Justin Jefferson builds. But I think the move here, there's no way I'm taking Josh Allen. His ADP being this high is a little bit crazy to me. I think you got to go with Stephon Diggs or Jamar Chase with this pick. Chase is off the board. I mean, is there any question here that we're going Stephon Diggs? I mean, I guess you can
Yeah,
make an argument for JT or Kelsey or somebody else, but I think Diggs is a smash here.
yeah, I think running backs are the weight this week too. Like I think it's receivers and Diggs. Like Gabe Davis, we don't know like if he's going to be back yet either too. So there's that question. Diggs, I know like the 3 touchdown game, you're not going to probably get that again, but
Who
he's
knows?
who knows, who knows. But
Also, let's take a look at tight ends, though, because, we talked about how deep quarterbacks are on this slate, but look at tight ends. We got Travis Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz, last tight end off the board. And then even if you want to get a little bit further down there, you got Tyler Higbee right now, who has 20 targets on the year, leading all tight ends in targets. Dawson Knox hasn't looked so great, but the potential is still there for him. Gerald Everett, was everybody's favorite sleeper last week. So tight ends are really deep in this slate as well. I think what we're learning as we're doing these is you want to get your premium receivers early because you can wait on quarterback, you can wait on tight end, but you want to get those top tier quarterbacks as soon as you can. So here we are again. Do we want to go with Tyreek Hill here? So we've got the Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill playing in the same game, kind of correlating against each other.
yeah, let's go all in on that game.
Because I like Devontae Adams ahead of Tyreek Hill slightly, but this is what we're one where I'm okay going down my rankings a little bit just because you've got the correlation then in that game. If Buffalo and Miami ends up being a shootout, we got both of those guys. And when we were talking earlier about drafting Kyler instead of Cousins and Carr, that's because there's a huge tier break between those guys. When you're looking at two guys like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill who project very similarly, that's where you'll kind of take into account, the stack to try to line that one up.
Yeah, and I mean that Vegas Tennessee game is going to be interesting because they're going to be two desperate teams, right, looking for that first win. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows how that's going to go? Maybe they're just going to run Henry 30 times, and maybe they're just going to pass the Adams, 15 times. So,
yeah,
that game's hard to predict.
So looking up here, this is one where we talked about waiting on quarterbacks, but let's see. Looking ahead at the board a little bit. Yeah, if we don't take a quarterback here, I got a feeling this Asylum guy will, which could leave us. I'd love to get some. Well, there goes Lamar Jackson off the board. That's kind of who I was possibly eyeballing. So we're up in 3 picks. Christian McCaffrey, hasn't had the best games, but it's still Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's getting the volume, he's getting the yardage, and is just being kept out of the end zone so far. So that could be a huge value there if he slides to us. But who else are you eyeballing here with this 3rd pick now that we have Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill already?
Yeah, I'd probably go McCaffrey, Eckler. Like that's how I'd go here. Maybe Swift, and maybe Mike Williams too, like a 3rd wide receiver. Just Keenan Allen not back. Chargers, that could be a fun game too. Chargers, Jaguars could be an underrated game.
It could be, yeah. I could see that with 2 poor offenses really being a shootout. So let's lean into that and go with Austin Eckler. Now, Austin Eckler is a guy that I've got a little bit down on my rankings this week, and I really hope that I'm not overreacting, but I'm getting a little bit concerned with his usage. We're seeing a lot more Joshua Kelly and Sony Michel out there than I'm happy to see.
Right. And you can probably take Mike Williams off now. We went Eckler, so I don't think you want both of them.
That is a good point. So do we wait till the very final round and take Etienne or Christian Kirk? There you go.
Yeah, Christian Kirk would be the run back, I think, on the Jaguar side.
So do we go Jalen Hurts ahead of Christian Kirk? Because it looks like we're going to have our choice between these two most likely with the next pick. We could probably wait on Christian Kirk, but I don't know how much we want to risk that. Jalen Hurts is the last one before I think there's a
Jalen. I think it's Hurts, and then because that sets you up for Goddard as well, maybe.
So. Or let me throw one other one out there. We can take Christian Kirk right now, and then we still have Justin Herbert likely making it back to us with the next pick to stack up with Eckler.
I think it hurts. I'd rather, but cool. If you want to go the QB running back too, though, like it's not a bad play.
I mean, I gotta say the Eagles. You might have been a year early on the Eagles, but I know you were drafting them quite a bit again this offseason. That team looks legit. I mean, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, they are clicking everywhere. I don't want to get it too far ahead of myself, but I think you can already put them in the conversation as one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Just put them right up there with the Bills. They look unbelievable.
I mean, NFC wise, yes, they're like probably the most exciting on the NFC side. So yeah, I'm excited for them and see where they go. It's just like fingers crossed. Let's no injuries, see how far we can go, and everyone stay healthy. And like Hurts keep getting better. He's got the wide receiver 1 now, and they can spread the ball out more, and they have all the running backs, and yeah, they're just like a nicely built team. So it kind of all starts with Hurts though. So even if we don't get anyone to stack with him here, I think it's a solid play. Obviously seeing him get 2 rushing touchdowns.
Very nice. I don't know if you saw yesterday, but I don't know how much you watched of the game, but I think his best throw of the night was one that was called back too on an offensive holding. He had this play where he was rolling out left and just threw the ball on a frozen rope. I mean, he just, we knew about the athleticism, we knew about the rushing upside, but what he's doing as a passer so far this year has been unbelievable. He's putting touch on balls, he's able to fire him in there when he needs to. He's looking like a very, very complete quarterback so far this season.
Yeah, he just looks confident and just kind of just like pretty relaxed, to be honest. Like there's no stress. You can see it's kind of like the early days of Mahomes when like he was breaking out. It's just kind of fun to watch and just like sit back, see what happens.
Just makes it look effortless. So let's see. We've got Dallas Goedert and we've got Christian Kirk. Both of them are available, but all everyone's got tight ends.
Yeah, so they got tight ends. So we'll get both of them.
I mean, this is about as perfect of a build as you can get, assuming one of these knuckleheads doesn't go too tight end on us here. Assuming we get Goddard with this, I mean, this is as nice as you can get here. We got the Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill, our first two picks correlated against each other in the same game. We've got Austin Eckler with the Christian Kirk run back, and then we've got Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goddard stacked up. And Goddard, didn't put up the gaudiest numbers yesterday without a touchdown, but he is a focal point of this offense. Make no doubt about it. He's getting a lot of looks across the middle of the field. So, it's only a matter of time before he has one of those big boom games where if he's getting 7 or 8 targets a week, it's only a matter of time before he has himself a 2-touchdown, 100-yard game.
Yeah, and that game could be closer on the road in Washington. So I like Goddard as a potential in that game. They're gonna have to count on him a little bit more for some tough yardage, I think. So I like that.
Yeah, I think this is the team right here. There, Garrett Wilson going in a 30-pick draft, 36-pick draft. I'm sorry, but man, he's looked good these first couple of seasons or these first couple of weeks, and it's better to be ahead of the curve if you can. We got Dallas Goddard here, so let's go ahead and jump into the next one. But let's take a look at this one. This is a work of art right here. Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Dallas Goddard. I feel like we should just end the show right now because that's the high note right there. I don't know if it gets any better than this.
Yeah, it's kind of fun how basically 3 games we picked out, right? We're picking 3 games to stack. So a lot of these drafts, I think that's the key. Like you could just go 1 game, but I think you can go 2, and then with some single plays in there, standalone plays, or you could do like we did to like stack 2 players from each game. So 3 different games. So I like that. It gives you some. It's more fun to watch the games as well too, so you can track your players. And if you have a live entry there at the end, you got 2 players, and you're hoping it's back and forth.
Yeah, and realistically, you probably could have won everything yesterday or this weekend had you just gone on the Baltimore and Miami game. If you just went, Lamar Jackson or Tua at quarterback, and then I mean, there were really no running backs that came out of that game, but you could have gone Andrews at tight end, and then Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman. I mean, you could have stuck just on that game and probably won this whole tournament last year. So if you're able to identify the game that you think is going to be the week's big high scoring game, you can just smash that for all 6 rounds and likely do pretty well if you get a shootout like that.
Yeah, even Bateman had a decent game too. So you could throw all 3 of those receivers with Andrews and Lamar. And the one thing I've noticed about running back too is that is usually the position I want a standalone player, and I like to kind of look for that big home favorite or someone like that, and you just hope it's just like they're just going to run this guy 20 plus times. So like I don't know who you would look this week.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor going up against KC, that's one where he could get phased out a little bit towards the end of the game. Christian McCaffrey against New Orleans. New Orleans is as stout as they come. Austin Eckler going up against Jacksonville. That could be the smash play this week. That's a pretty soft defense. And again, we talk about the squeaky wheel narrative, trying not to overreact to the first couple of weeks of football. Everybody's kind of panicking on Eckler right now. But with that matchup against Jacksonville, he is in a position to absolutely smash. Deandre Swift against Minnesota. That one could be a close game, but I think that close game kind of works in Deandre Swift's favor with him being the preferred passing down back. And then you got Joe Mixon against the Jets. We don't have any Joe Mixon yet, but would it surprise you one bit if Joe Mixon ends up with 30, 35 touches this week and, stumbles into a 40-point fantasy game? I mean, that seems like the game right there where you can see Cincinnati coming off 2 bad losses now, facing off against the Jets, who are really feeling themselves. I could see Cincinnati going into New York and just stomping down the Jets, and Joe Mixon being the benefactor of that.
Yeah, I don't feel like any running backs really stand out. So yeah, I've been identifying like Eckler as one of those guys that I want a standalone kind of player. We don't have Chase yet, do we?
We don't, and we can double tap right here. And we also don't have any Jonathan Taylor, but I'm a little bit concerned about that matchup with KC. So I think we go Chase for sure here at 6. And then we got the 2 picks. Who else do we want? Devontae Adams, Jonathan Taylor. Do we want to go down to Christian McCaffrey? Who jumps out to you as the other pick?
You can go one of the running backs, or I mean, we already have one of Adams too, so it's your call. Like I'm fine going Adams again too.
Yeah, I'm fine going Adams, and I gotta say, looking through all my best ball, my best ball mania entries last night, and my team that is doing the best right now is the one where I started off with Devontae Adams at the end of the first round, or I'm sorry, it was Stephon Diggs end of the first round and Devontae Adams at the start of the second. I feel like that was kind of the way to go this year. If you were able to get Joe Mixon or DeAndre Swift in the early second, you're not feeling too bad about it. But if you were able to get Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, any of those guys slid into the early second and you could double tap wide receivers to start, you're probably feeling pretty good about those entries so far. Granted, it's only 2 weeks into the season, but sure looked to be the way.
Oh, that's what everyone kept telling me all off season. So I need to be a better listener.
We'll also see, though, the game changes as the season goes on, and that's when we see teams start to lean towards the run a little bit. So typically with these zero running back teams, they get off to cold starts. And then as the season progresses and running backs get injured, then new running backs step into significant workloads. And that's when we see zero running back teams getting better as the season goes on. This year is kind of bizarre, though, to see these zero running back teams right out the gate really putting up some huge points there. And it helps when the top 5 wide receivers are putting up top 5 weeks every single week, but it'll be interesting to see if this lasts over the course of a full season.
Yeah, there's just best ball is just so fun. There's so many ways to build and so many ways to analyze after you build, and like every week we're just like over analyzing and thinking we're better. They're thinking we're worse than what we are. So it's hard. Yeah, you better get McCaffrey here. He's your boy.
Yeah, I think that's the easy one. Even being slightly concerned about the New Orleans matchup, can't really pass a McCaffrey there. And then
And
do we want
even
to go Lamar
Lamar.
Jackson? I mean,
Yeah, like that's pretty nice. Chase Adams, McCaffrey, and Lamar. Like
yeah,
that's fun.
we might not have a single stack on this team, but we are looking at 3 guys right now on this team that have very realistic shots to be the number 1 scorers this week alone. So I'm pretty happy with how that one turned out. Now it gets kind of weird, though, because we still need a wide receiver and we're still going to need a tight end going to the end of the draft here. And, I feel like you kind of get the benefit when you're picking first overall. You're still getting a good player. I don't know if I'm as crazy about getting these right here, because you kind of have to force the picks that you need to fill your positions rather than letting other people make those decisions for you. So who are some guys that kind of jump out to you here? I don't know if we want to go Garrett Wilson. We saw somebody else do it in the last draft and he has been red hot. So Garrett Wilson might not be a terrible pick because, if we're expecting a shootout in that Cincinnati game, we've at least got that run back there.
I mean, Michael Thomas comes with McCaffrey, so that would make sense to me. Bateman, if he's still there, maybe
Stack him up with Lamar, yeah.
Stack him up with Lamar.
And Waller and Adams, I feel like we're kind of capping ourselves a little bit there if we're going with Waller and Adams and not stacking with Carr. So I don't.
You could go move. Like Zach Ertz, maybe just like the opposite. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's I feel like we kind of painted ourselves into a corner with tight end here.
Pitts again. Let's just ride the Pitts train. Like he's got to break out.
Why not? 2 picks away. I mean, Pitts or Waller. Like I said, not crazy about Waller with the Adams already being on the team, but I just feel like there's a huge teardrop.
What if you want no, I was gonna say. I mean, you could go Pitts in a Seattle.
This works out for us. I mean, we got Rashad Bateman and we got Kyle Pitts.
That's probably how I'd play it.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, this is a weird one. No stacks, no correlations. All we've really got, I mean, we don't have anything really going in this game, but except for swinging for the fences, we got the Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman stack, but kind of like the way that team turned out. It's a little ugly, but we've got a lot of good players on it.
Yeah, it's hard because you want those shootout games and you want a couple players from them. So, but who knows?
And that's the one time that we have reached on a quarterback. And we got Jalen Hurts at a really good value in the one that we had done before that. But this is the first time where we said, hey, it's our third pick. Let's go ahead and take Lamar Jackson here. And I think we just kind of showed why you don't want to do that with quarterbacks being so deep in this slate. If you pay up for a guy like Lamar Jackson, you're not looking at the best options then for wide receivers or other positions once you get into those final rounds.
I think there is a lot of deep wide receivers though that like we're just not seeing them at the top. But like you just go through just those receivers and scroll down even further. Like some of these guys, like
Gabe Davis seems like he's grossly mispriced down there.
Marquise Brown's like a guy I like. I've been taking these two with Kyler, so I like him. Like if I can get Cooper Kupp to start and then I get those two, like I really like that. Yeah, it's
I mean,
probably
even
hard to
Jacoby
go.
Myers down here pulling a 30% target share might not be the prettiest offense, but he's getting wide receiver one usage. Corey Davis coming off a big week. Um,
I think Curtis
I
Samuel's like a fun name. Like nobody still wants to draft him because nobody wants to be like, hey, this guy
believe
was
it.
like a 16th, 17th round pick, but like he's probably like a 5th round pick right now, like to be honest, which is crazy.
Have you done any best ball resurrections lately? Do you know where he's going?
I've done like 4 or 5, but not this week. Last week, I think he was like 7th or 8th round, maybe.
Yeah, I'm really there's a few guys that I'm interested to see where they're going now. Garrett Wilson is one of them. Curtis Samuel is another, and then Derrick Henry. I mean, you got to imagine he's probably fallen into the late second, early third round now, given his lack of performance through these first few weeks.
Yeah, he's a guy no one wants to touch. Who Najee Harris was a guy like I could get like the 4th round, which was crazy. Like the last one I did, he was a 4th round pick.
Oh wow. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing too is when somebody's injured, especially with a mysterious possible Liz Frank injury. The scars from Joe Mixon's 2020 season are still very fresh, and I think people are just terrified of Najee Harris at this point. But here we are in a couple picks, and again, I think that we just kind of stick with what we have been doing: Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase on the board. I mean, we're getting Justin Jefferson or Stephon Diggs here. I don't know how you pass on either of those two at the 5th spot. I mean,
That's
do
a
we
weird
want to shake
shot.
things up just for the sake of doing it and do a Jonathan Taylor build, or are we just going with Stephon Diggs here again?
That's your call. Like I couldn't I wouldn't mind doing like a Kelsey Mahomes, but like Kelsey went here at 2nd pick. Like I think
Yeah,
if I'm picking at the turn, some of these I'd probably try to do some Kelsey Mahomes.
or Lamar
Uh,
Andrews. I think either of those.
yeah, Lamar Andrews you might be able to get at the 3-4, just seeing what we did, but probably not. Like you'd really have to risk that.
I mean, do we want to go Andrews with this next pick here at 8? It might be a little bit of a reach, but I think that if we take Andrews off the board, we're probably pretty likely to get Lamar with the next pick. But that's also, we're passing on Jonathan Taylor for that. I think that's a little silly doing that. Maybe we'll do it on the next one and see how it works out. I think if you have an early first round pick and then you can do it at the 2-3, get those guys. But I feel like it's crazy to pass up on JT with the 8th pick here.
Yeah.
All
Plus
right.
you haven't drafted a
Second round running back.
and we haven't grabbed a Taylor share yet. So we have the CMC at 3rd round last draft.
Yep. And again, I'm not crazy about the workload here or the matchup here. This is a game that could quickly get out of hand, but it's also Jonathan Taylor. And if they're down, they might get some more snaps in for Nyheim Hines, but they're still going to make sure that Jonathan Taylor is on the field. But this Indianapolis team is I mean, we saw it. They did not look too good without Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I mean, how many touches did Taylor have? Not very many. So like he's your best player. You need to get the ball in his hands. So
9.
yeah, and 1 catch. Like that's crazy.
That is brutal, especially in Jacksonville, which would have been a smash matchup. Whew.
Yeah. And we just know Matt Ryan is not very good now. So
Yeah.
So it might even be harder for Taylor.
I don't think there's any chance this is going to happen, but let's just queue them up just in case. We're still 6 picks away, and both are still on the board. I mean, that was the winning recipe last week, and I have a feeling this might be the winning recipe a lot of weeks, is just getting Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews on your team whenever you can.
Yeah, if you're doing multi drafts of these two, like I think it would be fun to try Kelsey and Andrews paired together. No one's ever going to do 2 tight ends.
Right.
Like, and those are just like the best wide receivers on their team. So we say they're tight end, but they're basically just receivers. So, I mean, the possibility of them both getting like 20, 25 points seems like a reality. Like it doesn't seem too far of a stretch. So that would be like a really unique kind of way to draft these two. Like if you're doing a lot of them, it's just a thought I just had, but
which we do a lot of these. So why not try it out at least once?
yeah, and I think the possibility of getting Mahomes or Lamar as well it might happen. Like you might be able to get one of those with both of those tight ends. So, yeah, and AJ Brown's here.
And we still got Andrews and Lamar. I'm kind of surprised to see both of those. Still got Mahomes as well. Well, there goes Mahomes off the board. I mean, shoot, I'd be happy with any of these three with this next pick. Andrews, Lamar, or AJ Brown. Can't really be upset about getting those guys in the third.
Well, he already has a QB, so yeah. I imagine he's taking it. Oh, wow, Mixon. I actually like Mixon too this week. I think he's a nice leverage play off the passing game there. And
So
Mark
here we're going
Andrews.
Andrews. All right. And then let's hope that Lamar Jackson could make it back to us because, oh boy, we'd be sitting pretty. Oh my goodness. We almost went for this one in the second round and we got it at the 3-4 turn. Gotta absolutely love this. And patience is a virtue, and it paid off for us here. Love the way
Well,
that one worked out. Lamar
man,
Jackson, Jonathan Taylor,
that
Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews. Sheesh.
that combo won somebody 50,000 last week, so and we got it in third, fourth. So
And
nice,
it won
nicely done.
it won us $2. So don't knock the combo. And now here we're just taking two more wide receivers to close out this draft. Um, if we're banking on Lamar and Andrews to have themselves some big games, I think this might be time for a 6th round Jacoby Myers. How about it?
Yeah, maybe some juju for a
There you
breakout.
go. And yeah, I mean, because Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are gone at this point. So yeah, I think here we go take Juju with one of these picks. And
Actually,
then
what about Mike Williams and Kirk?
there you go. I like that too. Just
Uh,
that alone. And then just
yeah, if they fell to you, but I don't think they would. But those two would be really fun.
I mean, this guy's already got 2 wide receivers. The next guy up. So if we're getting Mike Williams here too, it looks like. I don't think this guy's going 4 receivers, leaving his running back or tight end spot open. So yeah, and then we just need Kirk to make it through it's Smooky with the next pick, but this again.
And another pair I like is Drake London and DK Metcalf. Like I think that's really fun for your last 5-6 round because nobody's gonna have that combo, and that game could be crazy. Just like there could be some good scoring in that game.
I mean, I'm okay doing that instead. That could be really fun. Drake London and DK Metcalf, you're saying, instead of Mike Williams and Christian Kirk. Well, let's go with Mike Williams for now, just because there's still reports that Keenan Allen might not be ready. And if he isn't ready, Mike Williams still has that massive, massive ceiling. I think we're still probably going to get Christian Kirk here, but if we end up getting Christian Kirk here, this is the 4th draft that we've done now. I talked about that one, the second one we did being just perfect, immaculate, like an absolute piece of art. I feel like this one is right there too. I mean, if we end up hitting Christian Kirk on this one, this is one heck of a lineup.
Now there you go.
At that. Wow. I mean, just every single pick falling right into our laps. That's a thing of beauty right there. Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews got that wonderful stack. We got JT, who is the presumed RB1 for the week, and then Stephon Diggs, Mike Williams, Christian Kirk. James, we're having some fun with these. These are looking pretty good today.
Yeah, like this one, we could have the top QB, top tight end, like the top running back. Diggs
And
could
the
be
top
the top
receiver.
and it's crazy how you can. But we're gonna draft another one, and we won't have any of those same players, and it will still look good. Like that's the thing. Like they're all gonna look pretty good. It's just you want to build them in a way that, if the games go right for you, that they're going to look a lot better and they're going to climb that leaderboard. So that's what you're really trying to do. It's just put a nice team together that can give you a chance.
Well, here we are. It looks like this one's already filled in. Man, we did 5 of these drafts today, and 3 of these 5 we ended up picking from the 4th spot. And it seems like it's always the same story here. We're getting either Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, or Jamar Chase. I don't think there's any reason to pivot from what we've been doing already. With the top 4, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase. If you got a top 4 pick, you got to take one of those 4 as far as I'm concerned. It would be kind of crazy to take Josh Allen. Unless, I mean, I know you said you wanted to do the Kelsey Mahomes.
Yeah,
you can do it here.
Kelsey, I mean, you've already done all the other. Haven't we got every one of these? We haven't got Cup yet, though, have we? We don't have any Cup, I don't think.
No, you need the 101 if you want Cup. He's not making it to 102 these days.
Yeah, so we have all the other top guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love if Cup drops to us at 104. I don't see it happening, unfortunately.
I think if you get Kelsey Mahomes, you really want JT though. Like I don't. Is Pittman gonna play? Like maybe I guess you go Pittman,
but the other thing is, I think that's the way to queue it up. Hopefully, is Yeah, I can't think. I'm with ADP. You want to take because Jonathan Taylor probably isn't making it back to you at 203.
He might though, because I think running backs people are wanting these receivers more. Like where it has the ADP in here, like I don't think people are. If you have badges in your room, like here, what do we got? Like 2 or 3 badges. Like
People are
these
going
get,
for wide receivers.
yeah, they're not looking at ADP.
So you think we go? Well, there goes Kelsey. So didn't even get a
Yeah,
chance to get him at 104.
yeah, I'd go
All right.
Diggs then probably,
Yeah, we're gonna pivot and go to Diggs here.
because then you still
So
have the Josh Allen. Like you might be able to get him in the second round too.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this guy ends up doing because that would be fun. We don't have a Diggs Allen stack yesterday. Fun story. SFB. I went into I know you're a part of Scott Fishbowl as well. My SFB matchup yesterday, I had like a 65-point lead going into last night, and I lost to a Josh Allen Stephon Diggs stack, which is
Yeah.
absolutely brutal. It happens. Oh man, I look at that.
Oh,
Jamar Chase in round
Chase,
2. Whoo!
Diggs and Chase. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah, and just
If you
playable
can
as it
get
comes
one,
to us.
if you can get one, Waddle too, that would be really fun.
I am shocked to see Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown going ahead of Jamar Chase. I think we talk about overreactions, people panicking a little bit. All of a sudden, the Bengals are 0-2, and people forget who Jamar Chase is.
Yeah, and the Bengals are desperate 0-2 team. Like they might score 5 passing touchdowns on the Jets.
hmm That's why I like Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon this week. I think that they're both smash plays because I think this is going to be a get right game for the Bengals. And no offense to the New York Jets, they pulled off a great come from behind win against Cleveland, but we see this pretty often. We just saw it with Seattle this week, where these teams have these huge come from behind victories, and they win as the underdogs. And very rarely does that, start momentum rolling. That usually just makes for a pretty tough loss the next week. And I think that's probably what's going to happen in this Cincinnati New York game. But here we are in a couple more picks, and still got some great guys available: Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler. We can even go down, but I feel like Waddle is definitely the pick here if he slides to us. This guy's got no wide receivers, so he might be paying up for Waddle. But this room right now is just avoiding. How do we pass on Jonathan Taylor here? There goes Taylor.
Or McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Waddle would be nice, but it's kind of tough to pass on McCaffrey here. Is this what we're doing, going McCaffrey? It kind of hurts us as far as build. We're not stacking, not correlating at all, but sometimes you just got
No,
to take the value. And Diggs, Chase,
no,
McCaffrey.
let's go Waddle. Go Waddle.
All right. You're probably right. Waddle has
Well,
looked
I'm just like
spectacular.
looking at all the green on the board here. Like
And yeah, that's the thing. We're gonna get.
McCaffrey,
So
Eckler,
let's queue up.
Henry, like Swift. Like we're fine with any 4 of those guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to queue these up in the order that I like them. But again, we're not getting any run backs here with any of these guys available. So do we want to maybe even just wait a little bit longer on running back? And
Yeah, Darren Waller with a Henry, maybe. Waller and Henry would be fine.
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
If it comes to that.
Wow,
you get
McCaffrey here.
McCaffrey. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, in the fourth, there is nothing pretty about this team. We're not doing any sort of correlating on this one, just kind of taking BPA. But yeah, how do you pass on McCaffrey at the 21st pick?
I think that goes to show you too, just like how we're trying to like, hey, there's these 3 players, but let's take this one because maybe that one will fall. And it seems like every time all these players that we want in that round are there the next round too. So that's what makes this tournament's really fun. This whole format is probably almost as fun as I would say even better than regular season best ball. Like I almost like it better. Like the only thing better would
Fresh
be
slate every single week, which is great. You're after best ball, after doing the 500th draft, looking at the same players every single time, it gets a little draining. This is fun because every single week it's a new slate of games, new projections, new matchups. I agree with you. These are a lot of fun.
well, I think the NFL or the best ball playoff ones are the best, but I would almost put these like in the middle of this and regular season best ball.
Yeah.
So
So I think we want Burrow for the stack with Chase, unless we want to wait on Tua. We still need a tight end. Do we go with Waller here, or do we pull the trigger on Burrow a little bit early?
You go Waller because they all have quarterbacks.
Good call. All right. Well, if for whatever reason we get sniped on Burrow, well, we're not going to because they all have quarterbacks. So here we are getting Burrow. Um, I mean, not the prettiest team as far as how we built it, but like we said, sometimes the player values are just too good to pass up.
But I think they're all players like crazy high ceiling. Like these guys could all
Waddle's coming.
break the slate. Every one
Yeah,
of these guys.
yeah. I mean, Stephon Diggs and Jalen Waddle are coming off a combined 75 points from last week.
Yeah, they've already broke a slate.
So yeah, maybe we're being a little bit revisionist here, looking back at what they did last week and hoping that happens this week. But I like that one, man. I love the Burrow Chase stack. With them coming off 2 embarrassing losses, hoping for a get right week. Christian McCaffrey, still getting the touches. Kind of crazy that we were able to get him in the fourth. Stephon Diggs and Jalen Waddle, we know about their ceilings, and then Darren Waller, just Darren Waller, he's a top 3 tight end. Kind of crazy. This is a fun one overall. I like the way this one turned out too.
Yeah, I bet you your $25 you just invested, you're probably gonna get more than $2 back this week, maybe
Hopefully.
$3 back.
Yeah, those were some pretty good builds. I like the way those turned out. So, we might do these again next week, but at some point, Best Ball Resurrection, I want to get one of those drafts in as well. That kicks off starting week 6, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So maybe in a couple more weeks we'll do one of those.
Yeah, my fear right now is just, I mean, have seen it every single week now. Guys just dropping like flies due to injuries. It's probably the worst part about playing fantasy football, and we've seen it a lot already this season. And I think that's what's kind of, I don't know if scaring me is the right word, but the best ball resurrection, it's just not something I've been crazy about yet because I can see it right now. Me just burning money because I drafted somebody in my first 2 round picks, end up getting hurt over the next few weeks. So I think I'll probably wait until after week 5 and then smash a bunch of those best ball resurrection drafts. But just want to remind everybody, if you have not already, to first of all, subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/footballguys. And also, if you look in the YouTube description, you got a link to Underdog. If you sign up using that promo code footballguys, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100 on your initial deposit. So be sure to do that. But James, before we sign off here, still got some time left. Any words of wisdom for the battle royalers and the best ballers out there that are watching today?
Yeah, I think you just want to play. These are $5. They're not going to kill your bankroll. We know what DFS is on all the other big sites. It's a hard game right now. This battle royale, I think it's still a hard game, but I think that we're all kind of on equal footing. Like we all have the equal shot at taking these down. So you got to put it in the time. You got to sit there. You got to draft a team. It's not like you just have a salary cap. Like typical DFS. So it's definitely a new game. It's not one that just because you're so and so in the industry that you have an advantage over someone. So I think anybody can get in these and anybody can build teams and you can build good teams and it's a fun sweat on a Sunday. So I would encourage them. I think Best Ball Resurrection, like I get your points. Let's wait it out. And that's the way I've been playing it as well. But I couldn't resist because I love to draft.
Sprinkling some in here, there, and there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I have like 4 or 5. And part of it's like I want to see where players are going, what rounds, and kind of see the overreaction, underreaction, and kind of see what I can build. And at the end of the day, that tournament is 100,000 to first place. Like it's a really nice tournament, and it's only $10 buy-in, so you're not paying the $25 like the Best Ball Mania.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not a $2 million prize, but 100,000 to first, no one's going to complain about. So you can give yourself some leverage there on that tournament starting week 6. I like everything Underdog has to offer. I approve of.
They just keep getting better and better. But hey, James, real quickly before we sign off here, because we do still have about 12 minutes, we got a couple questions in the chat. Let's try to help out some of our viewers real quickly. This first question comes from Don Boone saying, your thoughts on Lazard? He should have had 2 touchdowns. He has to improve his hands. Rodgers won't put up with many misses. I agree with that. I would like to see him fix those hands up a little bit, but that one throw, the one that should have been a touchdown, was a bit underthrown. It hit Kyler Gordon before it got to Lazard. And, he won't put up with misses, but we've seen it from everybody. We've seen Christian Watson dropping passes. We've seen Romeo Dubes dropping passes. We've seen A.J. Dillon drop passes, Alan Lazard dropping passes. I mean, it's kind of the theme of the offense this year. He was obviously a big flag plant of mine this offseason, but first game of the season, coming off an ankle injury, getting 2 targets in the end zone, finishing the game with a touchdown. I would have liked to see a bigger outing, but that was kind of always the out with Alan Lazard, is that even if he's not getting 10 targets a game, he's probably still going to finish with double-digit touchdowns. What are you thinking about Alan Lazard? Do you have any strong takes on him so far after what we saw in one game?
Yeah, just like first 2 games of the season or 2 weeks of the season, I kind of question like Green Bay's passing offense and even like the Chiefs passing offense to some degrees, but minus Kelsey. But yeah, Lazard, like that's why we draft best ball. Like that's why we like Lazard and best ball, because yeah, I'm gonna have 7, 8 receivers. I don't need Lazard to. I don't have to make that decision every week. Do I want to start this guy as my third wide receiver? Because that's how it's going to be with him. Like he's going to be a question mark every week on a redraft team if you start him or not. But in best ball, we like to have him on your roster. Usually you're drafting him as your 4th, 5th kind of receiver, and he's gonna score points for you. Like it's just a matter of when. So
Yeah.
That's why we like this game of best ball.
Yeah, you don't have to predict that 2-touchdown game.
Yeah.
When it inevitably happens, it's automatically going to count for you. Other question, though, comes in from Evan Gittleman saying, I was just offered Jamar Chase and James Robinson for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Adams. Is this a no-brainer? I also have Najee, Michael Carter, and ETN. Obviously not a best ball question, but we play all sorts of fantasy and are willing to help you out. In my opinion, yes, that is a smash. If you're getting Jamar Chase for DeAndre Swift, I mean, even without James Robinson, I think I'd take Jamar Chase just for DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams alone.
Yeah, I agree. I think you always want to side with the receiver. Like that's what we've learned over the years. Like Swift, as amazing as he is, there's always going to be more of an injury risk. And Chase is just like every game, like he could just be the top receiver. So yeah.
And I'm starting to lean that way as well. And as fun as DeAndre Swift is, we already saw him pick up an injury, had an ankle injury that kept him reserved and limited last week. Luckily, he was able to still rip off a 50-yarder and then another spectacular touchdown that really saved his fantasy output. But it was a sketchy start for sure, having finished the game with just 7 touches. But want to thank everybody for tuning in to the another episode of the Best Ball Guy Show. James, have a blast doing this show with you every single week, man. Before we sign off, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
This week I'll be in the Battle Royale lobbies and I'll be winning $50,000. But no, I'm in underdog lobbies all the time. So on Twitter. So if you guys want to ever draft some teams or want some advice, whatever, just shoot me a message and I would love to just jump in draft with you as well. And we can talk strategy after and just, you can tell me why your team's better than mine. So
yeah, on top of being a great analyst, James is also just an awesome guy. And I started dipping my toes into best ball a while back. He was one of the first people I reached out to and really showed me the ropes. And look at us now doing a show together, drafting these teams. We've done probably 20, 30 drafts together in the last few months. It's been a lot of fun, James. But one more reminder, make sure that you have subscribed at youtube.com/footballguys if you have not already. You can see this show, you can see all of our other full-length shows, and you can also see all of our short videos. I'm Dave Kluge. You can find me on Twitter at Dave Kluge. That's Kluge. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.